it's like such a huge part of our lives. Like, it's the clock we have inside of us that means that we bleed. Our body literally changes during that time of the month, but also, as I've learned, at other times of the month. And our culture doesn't have any respect for that and doesn't have any understanding of what that means beyond the physicality of it.
I'm on day 28, which is a big day because I'm probably going to be going crazy, and I haven't really felt very present for the last day or so. I've been feeling completely vacant, which is horrible when you have uni work to do. Yeah.
What does day 28 mean?
Day 28 means that my period's gonna come hopefully very soon.
We get our periods when we're kids, and it's like we're handed shame. Like, you got your period, now you have to carry shame with you once a month for the rest of your life. That's what you've got. We're telling all these like 13, 14-year-old girls this, and that's obviously going to be hugely disempowering for women, when actually, if you can reframe how you see it and see that from your core, your body is giving you signals about how to be and how to live your life each month, it's incredibly empowering. And you can see why in a patriarchal society women would have been separated from that, because a woman who knows how to embrace her period is so powerful. Ultimately, what's best is listening to what your own body is saying when it's saying it, but the kind of guidance that's come in opposition to the horrible ideas we have about menstruation in our culture is this 4 seasons model. And obviously everyone knows what the seasons are: spring, summer, autumn and winter, and everyone has an idea of what they mean. Like, spring is about new growth and new life and freshness, and summer is a very sensual and outdoors and outward focused fun time, and then autumn is a time of change and it's a lot more turbulent, and we're heading into hibernation for the winter when it's cold and dark and we don't have any external distractions. Everything is very internally focused because it's so dark and cold, and so it's a time for rest. It's exactly the same in a woman's menstrual cycle, and she goes through that cycle every month. So day 1 would be the first day of your period, so the first day that you're bleeding.
How are you this morning?
Good. In my cave. I started my period last night and I'm happy about it. And it was right on target, because day 28, now it's day 1. It's day 1. I'm gonna lie here for a long time in the armpit of Mother Earth.
Thank you. I got Valentine's Day present.
What is it?
It's a painting from when we first met and went to Margate Beach. No, Ramsgate?
Yeah, it was Whitstable. It was prior to kind of meeting Meg, it wasn't necessarily something that I don't think I'd like spoken about it in detail to any kind of like female friends or anything like that. I don't know, I just didn't really have a kind of idea of, I had like vague kind of suggestions of what the experience was like. I hadn't actually spoken to anyone properly, I don't think. It came into my life at a time where I was going, maybe I should be living within a cycle. You know, maybe like 6 months before, I'd been like kind of playing with the idea that like maybe I could live within like a monthly moon cycle. I saw like lots of similarities by Meg kind of explaining like each stage of her period and kind of how the cycle runs. It allowed me to see where I can kind of like fit into that space, I suppose, and like where I ride pretty similar like rhythms at different parts of the month as well.
How I treat myself during my period will completely reflect, it sets the tone for how I feel over my whole period. So if I have a period where I consistently go, no, you're not allowed to rest, you have to do your work, you've got uni work, you've got this, that to do, then I spend my whole period feeling very disconnected from myself. There's been periods I've had where I literally just lay in my bed or just sat in my room for like 2 days, and that is really, really hard. It's really hard for a number of reasons, because our culture has no respect for the value in that. Like, that would be being lazy.
Unproductive.
Yeah, unproductive. It means that you have no distractions, and because you've not got the barriers of your spring and summer, you're very sensitive to everything, so all your wounds are completely exposed. Like, any feelings of like loneliness or despair or abandonment that you have from I don't know when, they all are completely out in full force. And then if you've got no distractions, then it is really, really hard to drop in that space. What's it like having a girlfriend on her period?
Very still, quiet time when you're on your period, and I like that, you know.
It's
Not arguing then.
no.
That's PMS.
How's it having a
But
girlfriend?
then even though like the arguing and the inner critic is so crucial. Like I like the inner critic. It gives me a challenge to face each month, you know.
When we get me being premenstrual right, it's like amazing, because if both of us can be really grounded, then I can just say whatever needs to change about our relationship, and Cam can hear it.
Well, that's it. It's a useful nugget of gold, you know, for me to kind of sit on and go, okay, well, how do I feel about this, and how does that affect us, you know?
Suddenly, like in summer, if someone was annoying you, it'd be really easy to brush it off and just be like, oh, whatever. But in autumn, it's suddenly you're full of clarity, and if someone's doing something out of line, you know it, and that's why women say more stuff, because they are less afraid of telling the truth in autumn.
Yeah, go on then.
Grumpy because I learned today that it's really stressful if you really tune in. It's really stressful having other people around you when you're on your period, because all your energy gets dragged into them all the time, and you don't have any energy, and you have no boundaries, so everything that stresses you out. And then when people are in your space and you can't just have space, then it freaks you out, because you can't give yourself space in your head because you're weak and vulnerable, and then you get really stressed, and then you get cross at your friends and tell them to go away.
Alright. Bye, Meg.
Yeah, that's fine.
Nice to see you, dude.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Okay.
It's quite chaotic, and yeah, that was stressing me out a lot and triggering me a lot. But then I realised that I was listening to what these horrible voices in my head were telling me that were stressing me out, and they were telling me that I was freaking out because I was having to put my own needs before the people around me, instead of what I think I usually do, which is just letting everyone else's needs be met around me, because I felt responsibility for them But that's not true. Everyone here is an adult and has responsibility for themselves, just like I have responsibility for myself. And yeah, it's really cool to realise that.
What do you think about situations though when you haven't got like 2 or 3 days holiday where you can just be on your period, because sometimes you can't just do that.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this as well today, because something else I've realised today is that like I found it really hard because I'm getting more sensitive to it. Like this kind of situation a year ago when I wasn't tracking my period would have been great for me to be on my period on, because it's just a chill day with friends. But now that I'm becoming more and more sensitive to it, I see that actually the optimum thing is to have complete space when I'm on my period. And so I react more when I don't have that, even if what I do have is still really chill. Obviously there's always going to be times when you have to have other commitments on your period. Women who have to work all the time because they can't afford to just take a day off and to manage their own time, and there may not be the opportunity to take a week out when you're on your period. For some women there is, and that is so great for them and I'm so happy for them, but it's obviously not the case for everyone. And just being able to take what time you can out and not stressing out about the time you can't take out. Like you can go to your exact same job and you can do it with totally different intention. Like today, and what I just said about how I felt like I needed space all day, when actually what I needed was a change in perspective. And it didn't matter that my friends were around me. The only thing that mattered was that I felt like I had to take responsibility for my friends around me. But as soon as I changed that attitude, then I can still be in the exact same space and feel way more comfortable. And in the middle of winter, if I have to work, then what I can bring is presence and steadiness and slowness and absolute attunement to what's right and what's wrong.